Wow, that's loud. Good evening, Farmington Hills. Welcome to the City Council meeting for March 21st, starting at 7:30. We're running just slightly late. And I just want to welcome you all. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, as we always do. So please stand and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is roll call.
Mayor Barnett.
Here.
Council members Bullaware.
Here.
Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Knoll.
Here.
Massey.
Here.
And Newland.
Here. Thank you. Next item is approval of the regular session meeting agenda. There's been a change in the number of appointments to a commission. Does that need to be reflected as an amendment to the agenda?
No, I don't think so, Madam Mayor. I think when you get to that agenda item, you would just revise who you're proposing for the appointments.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, does anybody have a motion? Yes, Dr. Bruce.
I move, Madam Mayor, I move the approval of the agenda as published.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Dr. Bruce, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Newland. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to the proclamation recognizing March 20th through 26th as Severe Weather Awareness Week. Council Member Knoll, would you like to read that?
1 second here, I'm pulling it up. Oh, here we go. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay. Whereas Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Oakland County Executive David Coulter have declared the week of March 20 through the 26th, 2022 as Severe Weather Awareness Week in Michigan. And whereas the Oakland County Homeland Security Division will engage in public education efforts during Severe Weather Awareness Week to help minimize the loss of life, destruction, and property, and disruption of daily activities that can result from severe weather, including tornadoes, flooding, high winds, and other weather patterns. And whereas, to further raise the awareness level of severe weather safety and to promote tornado safety preparedness, Oakland County will conduct a special test of its outdoor warning system sirens on Wednesday, March 23, 2022 at 1 p.m. Now therefore be it resolved that Vicki Barnett, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, does hereby proclaim March 20 through the 26th, 2022 as Severe Weather Awareness Week in Farmington Hills. And encourage all residents, schools, and businesses to test their severe weather action plans to ensure the safety of everyone in our community.
I understand we have the fire chief here to accept this.
There we go.
Mayor?
Right here.
Hi.
Oh,
That's
I'm
okay.
looking over there.
Well, frickin'.
You switched on me.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you. I'll have a few words if that's okay.
I would hope so.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council, and all the dignitaries, department heads. I appreciate that. It's always a pleasure to be here, and just really proud of the team, you know, and it starts right here. We have a great emergency management team in the city, and if there's any proof, it's last year. As we know, 2021 was an extreme weather event, multiple weather events for the city. Typically every March, the fire chief and myself typically get together and we're discussing, well, is this going to be the year? Well, 2021 was certainly the year. With the straight line winds, severe cell that came through on July 7th. And, you know, the team is still working right now diligently with the state of Michigan emergency management to collect some of the Section 19 funding. So that process continues, and we're doing a great job with that. As part of the drilling that you discussed and are in the proclamation, we typically conduct a number of drills each year. And that resulted in new sirens being installed 2 years ago. We got 2 new weather sirens in the city for the citizens. So program's doing very well. I appreciate the support of the group in here, the emergency management team. And we look forward to a much quieter year in 2022.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a proclamation recognizing March 2022 as National Nutrition Month. Dr. Bruce, will you read this?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics celebrates National Nutrition Month each year to focus attention on the importance of making informed food choices and developing sound eating habits. And whereas food is the substance by which life is sustained and eating a healthy and well-balanced diet is essential for growth and development and plays a vital role in a person's overall health and well-being. And whereas a proper diet in childhood can prevent health problems such as obesity, tooth decay, and iron deficiency anemia. And whereas the medical and healthcare community continue to make strides in understanding the crucial role that nutrition plays in overall wellness. And research has shown that a higher quality of nourishment helps prevent cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and other factors leading to premature death. And whereas there is a need for continuing nutrition education and a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating practices and expand food access for underserved communities to improve nutrition and lower costs related to obesity and diet-related diseases. And whereas proper nutrition is key to a healthy, long, and productive life, and registered dietitian nutritionists are the experts who can translate the science of nutrition into practical solutions for healthy living. Now therefore be it resolved that Vicki Barnett, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as National Nutrition Month and encourage our citizens to join the campaign and become concerned about their nutrition and the nutrition of others to help achieve optimum health now and in the future.
Thank you very much. And I understand we have a dietitian who you may know.
I think I do. I recognize her.
Thank you. I think he wants you to turn that way.
Oh, I got it. You're good.
I'm going to say a few words, too.
Okay, excellent.
Yes, Jill.
I probably won't say as much as a fire chief, but thank you, Mayor and City Council, for recognizing this National Nutrition Month. It's dietitians celebrate this every year. It started in 1973, actually as a week-long celebration, then it graduated to become a month-long celebration. And the whole purpose is to bring awareness to nutrition and to help people prevent diseases and promote better health through eating well. The theme this year is Celebrate a World of Flavors, which is really intended to increase the diversity of foods in our diet to expand our nutritional profile, which can improve, one's health. And so thank you. And for everyone, eat well and make sure you eat your fruits and vegetables every day. A lot of them.
A quick comment.
Sure. Yes.
What's the name of that website again?
Oh, it's choosemyplate.
Choosemyplate.org.
choosemyplate.org. Yeah, it's
Thank
the
you.
website for the USDA. It's an icon that shows what a well-balanced plate would look like.
Thank
It's
you.
really basic, but it's a great visual to see what most of our meals should look like to be balanced.
Is wine on it?
Well, it's on mine.
Oh, yours. Choosemyplate.org. Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonder if red wine is a fruit.
Of course it is.
Yes, thought so. Okay. Very good. Like to know that. Okay, next, I'm going to skip around a little bit because we have one more proclamation, but in the meantime, until our guest gets here, I would like the water pollution presentation from North Farmington High School American Red Cross Club. Welcome.
All right.
So glad to see you.
It's nice to see you too. Good evening to Mayor Barnett and the council. My name is Tasia and I'm the Executive Board President and founder of the American Red Cross Club at North Farmington High School.
My name is Ilakia Rajaguru, and I am the Vice President of the American Red Cross at the North Farmington High School.
Hello, my name is Angelina Sun, and I'm the Executive Board Secretary of the North Farmington American Red Cross Club.
Last year, we were able to present our vaccine awareness campaign in hopes of inducing a positive wave of vaccination. This time, we're back with a presentation on water pollution. It feels great to be back after a year, and it is an absolute honor for me and our club to have a wonderful opportunity again. During this presentation, we'll be talking about the Flint water crisis and its effects on the community, the guidelines for clean water, resources for clean water, and this includes before and after contamination, as well as how to get your water tested. To begin, the Flint water crisis is a great example of water pollution in our very own state, Michigan. Flint being so nearby allowed us to genuinely understand and relate to the event. This allowed the board and our members to research about it at a better extent. Beginning in 2014 and lasting up until 2019, the Flint water crisis has impacted many. Through our research, we learned that due to financial reasons, Flint decided to switch from filtered water of the Detroit system to the water of the Flint River. Unfortunately, the problem with this is that the Flint water was full of contaminants that were a result of corroding pipes. Flint's lead pipes affected the young, the old, and everyone else in the community. In efforts to understand its consequences, the effects of lead consumption should be understood. Lead water has many effects, and its severity depends on the age of the consumer. For example, in the younger population, they may have symptoms of delayed mental and physical development. The children may also have symptoms of hearing problems, anemia, behavior and learning disabilities. In adults, the symptoms include kidney dysfunction accompanied by high blood pressure. Lead consumption may also lead to reproductive problems. In pregnant women, consumption may result in the underdevelopment of the fetus. A tragic effect of the Flint crisis was that 80% of the people that were exposed to lead water are left with permanent side effects. Lead isn't, of course, the only contaminant. Other contaminants include bacteria like E. coli, Giardia, and Cryptosporidium. These bacteria can usually cause gastrointestinal problems and flu-like symptoms, commonly attributed to undercooked or improperly stored food, but in this case, it's due to contaminated water. Chemical contaminants include nitrates, which can result in serious illnesses with symptoms of shortness of breath and blue baby syndrome. Contact and consumption of arsenic results in skin damage or problems within the circulatory system and also increases the risk of getting cancer. Fluoride consumption causes bone pain, which is pain or tenderness of the bones, and in children, it may result in molted teeth. Overall, it's clear that water contaminants, whether metal, bacteria, or chemical, has life-impacting impacts, and clean water must be consumed.
What defines clean water? Here are some guidelines and regulations led by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. The aforementioned United States Environmental Protection Agency sets legal limits on over 90 contaminants present in drinking water. These limits are defined by the MCL. MCL is the maximum contaminant level of any contaminant in drinking water. This defines when, in the case of consumption, no known or anticipated adverse effects would occur to the health of a person. This gives a margin for safety. In the case of contaminant bromate, the MCL goal is 0, and the MCL is 0.010 in milligrams per liter. If the contaminant bromate were to increase above 0.010, there is an increased risk of cancer. Here are some resources for clean drinking water. These can be used during an emergency or simply to make sure drinking water is completely safe. Actions to take prior to drinking water emergency. Making sure households have a portable water filter. These filters remove foreign substances and diseases of drinking water, but do not effectively remove bacteria or viruses. Thus, a disinfectant is also advisable to have on hand. It is also important to stay vigilant and check for water discoloration in drinking water as much as possible. In fact, this is exactly what helped many residents of Flint realize that their water was contaminated and switch to other methods of drinking water other than from the tap. Actions against contaminated water. Bottled water is a great alternative as it is always monitored by the FDA to uphold standards for clean water. This means that bottled water goes through several sanitation and filtration methods to ensure its safety. Boiling and disinfecting water is also a great way to protect against contaminants and germs. However, these methods are not completely effective as they do not remove fuel, many toxic chemicals, and radioactive material. Should you have your water tested? The first reason would be illness. If you feel ill after drinking tap water, this includes nausea, headaches, or vomiting, get your water tested as this can be a sign of a harmful contaminant present in your water. If your septic system is very close to a water well, this can increase your chances of having contaminants in your water. If the taste, color, or odor of your water changes or begins to stain household items, get it tested. The final reason would be if the composition of your home is susceptible to corrosion or water damage. The quality of your water is important to ensure that your home remains upright.
If you do have concerns regarding your water quality, you can request testing through many different departments, including your local health department, the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, or EGL for short, or a private lab. Other options include a Consumer Confidence Report, or CCR, from the Michigan Lead Safe website, or the Environmental Protection Agency, and they also both provide information on water quality and testing. Multiple state-certified drinking water laboratories are also available to test water, and almost all these are government organizations or websites, ensuring reliable and trustworthy information. You should be testing water every year for total coliform bacteria, which can cause upset stomachs, diarrhea, and other stomach problems, especially in the young and elderly. Nitrates every other year, total dissolved solids, and pH levels, especially if you have a new wall or have recently replaced your pipes, pumps, or water well casing. But you can also test for arsenic at least once, lead in the same fashion, and manganese, which can be especially important if you have a newborn. Again, you can visit any of the government websites we suggested for more information. And here we have a graph, if it pleases the panel to please look at the graph, with information about lead and copper levels in Flint from 2016 to 2021. ppb stands for parts per billion, and the federal standard is no more than 15 ppb per liter. At the time of the Flint crisis, we can see that the numbers are obviously above the line, leading to dangerous amounts of lead consumption resulting in health issues. As Flint slowly recovers, we can see a general decrease in numbers, and while they do fluctuate at the end, in general, in the 90th percentile value, there is an average of 3 ppb per liter of water as of 2021. Of course, Flint has come a long way since 2016, and as we move into the future, we would like to continue to educate everyone on water pollution to ensure that those numbers do stay down. Utilizing government resources, prevention methods, and educating everyone on the causes and effects means safe water not just in Flint, but in our own Farmington Hills.
I hope everyone learned something new today, and it wouldn't have been possible without our club members who put together this presentation. So thank you to Alekia, Angelina, Shimon, Jessica, Shobna, and Isabella. A special thank you to Mayor Barnett for having us here, as well as Ms. Smith for working with us throughout this process. Thank you to Ms. Cassandra and Ms. Anna at the American Red Cross. Thank you to Mr. Green, our principal, and Mr. McNeff, our advisor, for all their support. Here are the resources we used throughout the presentation. These resources are highly credible, and I would encourage everyone to take a look at these resources. For example, the EDA, CDC, FMEA, and the American Red Cross are great places for more information. The best way to prevent water pollution is to learn about it to the best of our ability. Thank you. Any questions?
Anybody have anything?
First, I'll say I'm amazed. I remember your COVID presentation, and this is just equally as awesome, outstanding. I can't wait to see what your next work will be. And so this is an incredible body of work, and well presented, easy to understand, organized. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm more informed about water quality. I know that, so thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
Of course.
I personally want to thank you for the hard work you put in just to talk about how important clean water is and how why we have so many dollars now being appropriated from the federal and state government to help us clean up our water. Millions of children across the world die yearly from not having access to clean drinking water. And I just want to thank you for caring about them, caring about us, and making sure that the citizens of Farmington Hills know what to do to make sure that they are drinking clean water, and so are their families. Again, you guys put in a lot of time, and I love that we have a Red Cross Club in our local schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Massey, should we proceed or?
Should be here any minute. And she had a sub who apparently hit something on the freeway, a piece of furniture, so there's a minor delay. So
Okay, well then, we'll just move on until she gets here. Okay. So the next item on the agenda
Consider correspondence.
is, I have to get to it because I don't have a printout here, is correspondence. Does anybody have correspondence to report that we all didn't receive? Yes.
I do. I think I have a couple. I received a letter from someone complaining about 320 Minglewood. It's about the trash that's outside the home and has been there for some time. I forwarded it on to our city manager, and he's going to investigate and get back with the complainant. I also received a letter from, let's see, it's Lakeisha Jennings, and she's in the process of opening an LPN school here in Farmington Hills. She's currently waiting for approval from the state, and she's asking City Council and the mayor to support her efforts. She expected the nursing school for licensed practical nurses will be up and running toward the end of this year. I'm not quite certain that everyone received a letter from Sarah Rothflesh. Well, this is regarding a...
I got it.
You got it? Okay. Well, I'll just forward it on to Dr. Bruce received it also, but it was about someone in our neighborhood. The person's name was, just a second. One of our residents, Dan McEchin. Did y'all receive that? Okay. All right. That's it for me.
Okay, anyone else?
Madam Mayor? Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I also received an email from Mr. Benjamin Lockman, who had some concerns about flooding in Heritage Hills, and I did briefly answer that, but I'm also going to be forwarding on to the city manager as well.
Okay, anyone else? I received several regarding cannabis sales in our city. I referred them to the community conversations, and then some residents also contacted me regarding the double construction zone at 14 Mile and Northwestern. So 14 Mile and Orchard Lake, and up Orchard Lake, from Orchard Lake to Farmington Road on 14. That will be a challenge for a good part of this spring through fall, and but when it's done, we're hoping that we have a much safer route to travel. And I don't know if we have directions and route changes listed on our website. And we do, okay. So anybody who's concerned about any road construction issues in Farmington Hills, please consult our newly refurbished website, and it should be fairly easy for you to find. Thank you all for contacting us and letting us know what's on your minds. Next item is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by City Council and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration.
Yeah.
Yes. Councilmember
Yes,
Bowler.
I'm going to ask that we remove number 16, the recommended approval of the City Council regular session meeting minutes of February 28th, and have that read as a separate motion perhaps, because I was not in attendance on that.
So are you recommending, are you putting forward a motion to approve items 9 through 15?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
She hadn't read it, she hadn't read it yet, though. Mary hasn't read it.
Oh, that's right.
Hasn't been read yet.
She has to read it first? Oh, sorry.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Newland, will you please read the aforementioned items for which we are discussing?
Also, Madam Mayor, the consent agenda as published this evening. Number 9, recommend approval of award of contract for the Rock Ridge Lane improvements to Florence Cement Company in the amount of $950,069.11. This is CMR 3/22/23. Number 10, recommend approval of award of contract for the 2022 Local Roads HMA Rehabilitation Project for the Vinewood Macwood Subdivision, Grand River Acres Subdivision, and Kensington Gardens Subdivision to Nagle Paving Company in the amount of $1,153,191,083 for CMR 3/22/24. Number 11, recommend approval of award of bid to S&H Trucking Enterprises for synthetic turf field replacement in the amount of $660,000, and to Star Track Enterprises for track repair and resurface and service to the amount of $130,000. This is CMR 3/22/25. Number 12, recommend approval of award of proposal for special services facilities and program consultant to sports facilities companies in the amount of $78,500. This is CMR 3/22/26. Number 13, recommend approval of award of proposal for repair refurbishment of Vilter ammonia compressor to Delta Temp Inc. in the amount not to exceed $16,000. This is CMR C/22/27. Number 14, recommend approval of award of proposal to furnish and install cold floor pumps to Serve Ice refrigeration in the amount not to exceed $35,000. This is CMR 3/22/28. Number 15, recommend approval of request for employment under Section 10.01A of the city charter for a Hawk's Nest leader. Number 16, recommend approval of the city council regular session minute meetings of February 28th, 2022.
15.
Pardon me?
You're supposed to do 15, stop there, separate motion.
No, she needs to read them all. And now a motion is appropriate.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I would move that consent agenda items 9 through 15 be approved as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, it's been moved by many at different times of the evening. At this point, moved by Dr. Massey, seconded by Councilmember Bridges. Is there any discussion of these items? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Bruce,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Newland,
Yes.
Knoll. Yes. Massey,
Yes.
and Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Dr. Bruce.
Madam Mayor, I move the approval of consent agenda item number 16.
Support.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Bruce, seconded by Dr. Massey. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Bolaware,
Abstain?
Bridges,
Abstain.
Newland,
Yes.
Knoll,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
and Mayor Barnett.
Yes. And this means we are going back to item number 4, which is a proclamation that the city of Farmington Hills stands in solidarity with the sovereign nation of Ukraine. Dr. Massey, would you like to read this?
I'd be honored. Whereas there are about 45,000 Ukrainian Americans in the Metro Detroit area, all watching in shock and horror as their homeland is attacked by Russia. And whereas the city of Farmington Hills is proud to have Ukrainians among our community's diverse population, and we stand in solidarity with the sovereign nation of Ukraine during this unprovoked declaration of war. And whereas Michigan welcomed Ukrainian immigrants following World War I, World War II, and the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the state's Ukrainian American community has become one of the largest and most active in the United States. And whereas our hearts go out to those with relatives and loved ones in Ukraine that now face the loss of their homes and their lives during this time of unimaginable violence, and whereas we support the efforts to provide humanitarian aid to the millions of people who are fleeing conflict in Ukraine, and whereas the City Council denounces this unjustified aggression and reaffirms our commitment to promoting the values of freedom and democracy throughout the world, now therefore be it resolved that Vicki Barnett, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, does hereby proclaim that the city stands in solidarity with the sovereign nation of Ukraine, and we encourage our citizens to show their support for all Ukrainian Americans in our community. And we do have one of our Ukrainian residents here in Southeast Michigan joining us today. She was the Ukrainian of the Year in 2019, and it's Dr. Elena Daniluk. Come on up.
I'd like to present this to you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all.
Say a few words.
I don't have enough of words to express my gratitude and gratitude from our Ukrainian American community of metropolitan Detroit. And as you know, right now our country is devastated. And in Farmington Hills, we have a lot of Ukrainian Americans living here, and their kids are going in those schools. And they support, they thankful for all this support. Because 26 days right now, what happens, it's unbearable. And it's very hard for us to comprehend why. But your support, it helps us to stay here calm, looking forward in the future and build democracy in our country and support Ukraine. And thank you. Thank you, and thank you for donations. Thank you for helping. Thank you for collecting goods and sending for those people, because they are in desperate need. As you know, it's very hard to, right now we don't have refugee status for Ukrainians and our relatives. So we are fighting, and we also would ask you in support, and also in the future for kids, for those kids who right now left without families. We just need for them some housing and some help to be accommodated in the schools once if a program would be approved. And that's what we are looking forward into, help from your city to help us when those programs will be official, and we could bring our kids and those wounded families here, at least to give them time to heal and later come back and rebuild their country, democratic and free. And thank you so much.
Thank you
very much. I just want to express my shock and dismay for the suffering of the Ukrainian people at this time. I lost many family members in World War II, and I have a lot of family members that left Ukraine at the time and other satellite nations, and my heart bleeds for you. It really does. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is public questions and comments. They're limited to 5 minutes. If anybody would like to say something and come forward during public questions and comments, please do so. I will now open the meeting for public questions and comments. Don't all rush up at once. Since there are none, I will now close the public question and comments, and I will return to the City Council for council member comments and announcements. Seeing none, I will move on to the city manager update.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm never sure at the levels on these microphones, so got to be cautious here. Just a few things this evening. Madam Mayor, you mentioned our marijuana industry information gathering sessions that we held last week. We felt that they went very well. We gathered a good amount of practical information. In addition to that, I as well as other staff, did hear from some residents regarding this topic, and I wanted everybody to know that's listening that there will be similar sessions in the coming months for public input as well on this topic. So please stay tuned to the city websites and city council meetings. Feel free to call the city manager's office if you'd like more information or more specifics on when that may be taking place. Spring looks like it's sprung, hopefully. However, the city, me in particular, being the former public services director, want to remind our residents that yard waste pickup does not resume until April 11th. So don't place any yard waste containers at the street until that time, and if you do, you're going to be dragging them back into your garage or along the side of your house. Councilwoman Boulware, I just want to give council an update. We did contact the resident, or will be contacting the resident on Minglewood with regards to that complaint, and that'll be addressed through our zoning department. And then last but not least, there's been a lot of comments on social media about Orchard Lake Road and 14 Mile Road construction. No, we're not crazy. This is premeditated agony for all of us to have to go through. I say that tongue in cheek, but there's a good reason for it. One is, next year, as I shared with council, we'll all share in the misery of the I-696 project, which will almost completely shut down the highway in one direction or another from 275 to I-75, I believe. And also the federal funding for both those projects just happened to line up in this program year. And so that was the other critical deadline that we had to meet, or we would have forfeited those federal dollars, which is 80% of the funding for the projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is appointments to boards and commissions. Dr. Massey?
Madam Mayor, I would move the appointment to the Planning Commission of Ms. Tangi Grant, to fill an unexpired term that would end 1 February 2025.
It's been moved by Dr. Massey, supported by Councilmember Nolan Bridges. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, welcome aboard, Ms. Grant. You are now going to be on our Planning Commission. We are so looking forward to it. Next item on the agenda is
Consideration.
cutting edge cuisine, correct? I don't have the
Yes.
printout of the agenda
Yes,
here.
it's a
so
transfer, yep, of a liquor license.
I'm kind of going blind. Who wants to go first?
We do have representatives here. I believe the attorney for the Cutting Edge would like to say a few words. This is a transfer of a license that is in escrow. It was not a city quota license to begin with, transferred in from a different community. And it is for a catering business, so a little different request, but we did include information and opinion from the city attorney as well, if there's any questions on that.
Okay, so
Otherwise, the representative can speak.
what's the likelihood of having two redheads in the same meeting?
Very high.
Every meeting we are at, Madam Mayor.
Every meeting you and I are at.
Right, right. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. I'm Kelly Allen, appearing tonight on behalf of the applicant, Cutting Edge Cuisine. This is Zach Sklar. Where is Zach? He is the owner of the company, and as Ms. Smith pointed out, this is a little bit different. Therefore, we did come to the city when Zach bought the building. So he has a related company that he owns that bought the actual building located for his catering business. And I'm going to have Zach tell you a little bit about himself, because he's got some good roots here, and he's really very well known and up and coming, 20 under 20 and cranes and all that stuff. But as far as the legality of your ordinance is concerned, this is a catering facility that has to have a Class C license, which will enable him to cater primarily weddings, large events, really exquisite, specialized types of catering. No standard menu. It's open 9 to 5 by appointment only. So brides and grooms and parents and things like that, people like that, can come on in and see their menus, their kitchen, what they would propose to put together for them. They won't be selling any alcohol on site. They will be suggesting pairings, wine primarily, for the catering that they do. So they'll be catering both the food and the alcohol catering is fairly new in the state of Michigan, 5 years maybe, that the Liquor Control Commission has allowed a permit like this. It was sort of a misnomer for many, many years, but now it is an actual permit that anybody with a Class C license can get. That enables them to take the alcohol off-site and serve it with their trained staff. So with that, I'm just going to have Zach introduce himself.
Great, thank you.
Hello, my name is Zach Sklar. I'm the owner of Cutting Edge Cuisine. I'm a North Farmington graduate, and I grew up in Farmington Hills, and you know, from the time I was born, and then I went to college in New York, and I actually almost failed at North Farmington because I wanted to be a chef, and I didn't kind of fit the mold of traditional school. Then 10 years later, I gave the commencement speech at North Farmington, which was really, really cool. I have 14 restaurants around the country, and this will be my first business in Farmington Hills, so I'm kind of excited to kind of come back. I live in Birmingham. And so this is my catering business. It's been around for 16 years. Started in New York, and we just bought this 7,000 square foot building on Northwestern to warehouse this this business that's growing and growing. And so we are like the boutique caterers of Michigan. So I've cooked for Beyonce, Serena Williams. You know, we do a lot of work for Dan Gilbert, Ford Motor Company, GM. So a lot of the bigwigs and CEOs, all the big three holiday parties. And so it's like a boutique high-end catering firm. And so I'm really excited to be back to my roots and to be part of the community in a different way this time. So.
Very nice. Welcome home.
Yeah. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, quick question.
Just a quick comment. You know, I'm very impressed. So you had 15 restaurants around?
I have 14, and
14?
I have 3 opening this year as well.
Very impressive.
Well, yeah.
And thank you for
crazy
coming.
or impressive? I don't know which one. It is.
And just thank you for coming back to Farmington
Yeah.
Hills to open your catering venue.
It was actually between 2 buildings, but it was actually important for me to come back because I have a footprint in so many places in Michigan, and I wanted to come back. And so it's kind of important to me, you know, to be part of the community again because it's the community that raised me. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
for
of course.
coming
Thank you.
Yes.
Your location is inside the Millennium Building?
Inside the what building?
Millennium Building.
No, it's it used to be Anna's house. It's a pancake.
Anna's house. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So
right.
I'm currently renovating that, and
Terrific.
yeah, so
Terrific.
really excited. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. Yes.
My
Mayor Pro
daughter would
Tem.
say, just Google it, but where's your closest restaurant?
You've probably been to maybe Social or Mex or the old Bojack's, which is now Bo's, Como's in Ferndale. I just bought the Common Grill in Chelsea, so there's a couple odds and ends. Gus's Fried Chicken, if you've ever been there. So, yeah, a couple. You know, those are some of the Michigan brands.
Wow.
So.
Councilmember No.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. I've heard about you for a while. You went to North Farmington
Yeah.
with someone, one of your classmates. I'm friends with her mom, so so yes, they rave about you and your restaurants and so forth.
Yeah.
So just thank you for coming back to Farmington and anything you need.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I'll tell you the city inspector, you know, the building inspector's been great, and so everyone's been so supportive of my project, and anyway, so thank you. Feels good.
Thank you. Well, welcome. Okay, so now we need a motion.
Mayor?
Yes.
I've got a question for our city attorney. If anything were to happen, just, you know, looking at the worst case scenario, if that business didn't work out, would that liquor license revert back to our control and to escrow within our city?
I might have to defer to the city clerk. I think that, well, go ahead.
Yeah, it would not. It did not come from our quota license. It was transferred in from another city.
Okay.
Yeah, typically, if it's a quota license, we do have them sign an agreement to the effect that if something were to happen, it would come back to us, but we don't have that in this case.
So where would it go at that point?
It could go back in escrow. It would go back in escrow and then could be transferred somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's his asset.
Right. How many liquor licenses do we have left in this?
We have none.
None. Even from the last census, we didn't gain. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thanks.
No, it's a mess.
Yeah, it is.
It's a mess. So I hope this came from Royal Oak.
This came from Clarkston.
Oh, okay.
Have a motion there.
Yes.
Mayor, I move that the council approve the transfer of the ownership of and location of an escrow 2021 Class C liquor license with Sunday sales and catering permit located at 32555 Northwestern Highway.
Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Bridges, supported by Ms. Bolaware. This is a roll call vote.
Yes. Council members Bridges,
Yes.
Newland,
Yes.
Knoll,
Yes.
Massey,
And from another North Farmington grad, yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
and Mayor Barnett.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. Come back. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. Next item on the agenda is consideration approval of consent to conveyance and transfer of the property and business located at 25911 Middle Belt Road, CMR 3-2222.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
After consulting with our city attorney, my wife and I have a financial interest in this case, so it would be impacted one way or another. So therefore, I'm going to be recusing myself from
this vote.
From this vote.
Okay.
So, and I believe I still have to leave the dais, is that correct?
Technically, that is always something I recommend, just so that it's clear you're not part of the discussion.
I'll do that. All right, thank you.
Bye, Dr. Bruce.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so who goes first here?
I will, if it's
Okay.
okay. Yes, this is somewhat of a unique situation. The city council doesn't always get called upon to approve a private transaction like this from involving the sale of property from one entity to another. But it's because there is a consent judgment that exists on this property that emanated out of a case dating back to the late 1970s involving a zoning or land use challenge to the property that occurred at that time. And the city entered into a consent judgment, which is basically a settlement of that case back at the time. And it had quite a few terms to it involving how the property could or could not be used. You sometimes see that with these types of consent judgments, and I know that council has seen them come back from time to time. This is another one of those. So in this particular consent judgment, the order entered by the judge in the case required the city to consent to any sort of a transfer of the property to a new owner. And it's contained in paragraph 10 of the Fifth Amendment to consent judgment. This particular property has come back a few times for some modifications to how they use the property or how they develop the site. And so we are currently in the Fifth Amendment to that consent judgment. So there are representatives of the property owner business here. I'm not sure if the proposed new owner is here as well. Sounds like they are. What we have here is the property is currently owned by Monroe One LLC, and Rainbow Rehabilitation Centers leases the property and operates the facility on this property at 25911 Middle Belt Road. They are in the process of about ready to close on the sale of that property. One of the last items on their list to do is get the consent of city council to this transaction, to this transfer. And they're transferring it to a company called Cap Grow Holdings, JV. I won't go through the whole name, it's kind of long. And the intent is that a company called NRMI LLC will be leasing and operating the facility, and the use will not change. Because of that fact, the consent judgment just allows city council to approve this. We don't have to go to court, go back to court like we do with some of these consent judgments when things change. Here, as long as the use is going to stay the same, then we're good to go if council approves this, and your approval cannot be unreasonably withheld, is what the language in the consent judgment says. So one of the things the city did was look into the current condition of the property, found some issues with the retention basin needing to be cleaned out. So about the only condition that we have in connection with this is some financial security to make sure that that gets cleaned out, I believe, within the next 90 days. They've signed they've signed two documents, one that agrees that the use will continue as it currently is and that this transaction is going to take place, and the city will sign that if you approve it, documenting that the city consents to it. So we'll have that as a permanent document kept in the clerk's office and also kept for their records. And then the second document is the financial security to make sure that that retention pond gets cleaned out. That's all I have to report on this. If council wishes to address the current property owner and the future property owner, they are present if you have any questions.
Okay, does council have any questions?
Quick comment if I could.
Yes.
So the judgment itself, basically what we're proving here is what we had proved before, which basically allowing another person to be part of that agreement. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yes, they're stepping into the shoes of the current party on this case.
And no material difference to the previous agreement?
No, they have not asked for any changes to the property or any changes to the use.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Anyone else?
Yes, what would happen if, let's say, the present use and the continued same use, it stops? Or what would happen then? What would we have to do, or?
Well, if they want to change to a use that's not permitted under the consent judgment, then they would have to come back here and seek an amendment to the consent judgment.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's going to be a brain injury rehabilitation facility?
Yes, hi, Bill Buckalow, Rainbow Rehabilitation Centers. Had the opportunity to be in front of you before, some of you here and some in Lansing. So Neurorestorative is NRMI, and Neurorestorative is a national organization. They've been in Michigan for over 10 years, and they perform the same types of services across the country that Rainbow has performed in Farmington Hills for the last nearly 30 years.
Okay, because I know it started out as a hospice.
Correct. And Rainbow purchased that property, Monroe One, back in the mid-2000s from hospice and switched the use through the approval process from hospice to brain and spinal cord neurological rehabilitation services.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
And you've got the performance bond for repairing the drainage.
Yeah, well, I think it's a simple backhoe scoop of the pond to clear the growth out of it. That is scheduled for the week of next week. And yes, that's all ready to go.
Okay, I live across the street, that's why I'm bringing all this up.
And Mayor, they have already supplied us with the check that forms the security deposit with the city, and they have signed the agreements. If they are approved, they will then be signed by the city and they can proceed with their closing.
Okay, if there's no more questions, is there a motion?
I've got one more. What's the present licensing?
Excuse me?
What is the present licensing as?
Oh, yes, it's adult foster care.
Okay, Dr. Massey?
Yes, I have a motion. I would move that the council approve the request for and consent to conveyance and transfer of the property and business located at 25911 Middle Belt Road, City of Farmington Hills, pursuant to 5th attachment to the consent judgment and the agreement to provide financial guarantees and complete maintenance of detention ponds.
Support.
It's been moved by Dr. Massey, seconded by Councilmember Knoll. This is a straight-up vote. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 0. It passes. Welcome. Welcome to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do just want to say, if I can, to thank you to the city for really welcoming the services that we've provided over the last several decades. It's been just a great pleasure for Rainbow and our employees and our residents to have been welcomed by the city for all these years. It's a wonderful community, and we've really enjoyed being a part of it, and we appreciate your support over the years. And I'm sure that Neurorestorative will be a wonderful steward and have the same respect for the neighbors in the community that we have tried to carry ourselves over these years.
And the memorial gardens on the corner are very attractive too.
Yes.
And very peaceful. Yes.
Quick question.
Yes.
Does this affect the facility in downtown Farmington as well? The Rainbow Rehab facility?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that when, I should ask the owner, are you keeping that one? Is it just simply going to be a name change, or are there?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to be coming in and taking over, excuse me, taking over the actual programs that are there. The operations are going to remain exactly the same.
Okay.
and going to be serving the same people with the exact same, staff there.
I know it's a different city, but they are our neighbor, and we do so much with them that that's great to hear.
There's another one in Southfield on 11 Mile Road,
Yes.
same as well?
Yes. Yeah, Neurorestorative is purchasing all of Rainbow.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the close of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay,
Attorney's report was on there.
okay, if we have to. Does anybody have any questions on the attorney's report?
No.
Seeing none.
Thank you.
We're now at the end. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, it's been supported by many. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good night, Farmington Hills. Tune in next week for our regularly scheduled meeting on March 28th.